I married my best friend's brother, then fell in love with her husband and had an affair. When it all came out, everything collapsed. I lost the man I married, the friend I grew up with, and the version of myself I used to like. I was 22 when I first kissed Daniel. We were sitting on his parents' back porch during one of those too long summer BBQs that only families with deep roots and decades of small-town history know how to throw. He was 26, fresh out of grad school, quiet in a way that felt like certainty, and he was my best friend's older brother. I'd known him since I was 12. Lena and I had been best friends since middle school. Chaotic, inseparable, codependent. In that loud, private language way that only girlhood can foster. I basically lived at her house growing up. Daniel was the responsible sibling, the golden boy, soccer captain, science fair genius. You're lucky to have a brother like him, kind of guy. I didn't notice him like that until I was 20, and once I did, it was over. Our relationship made sense to everyone. Lena was thrilled. Her two favorite people finally together. Her big brother dating her best friend? A dream. My parents loved him. His parents loved me. It was safe, sweet, predictable. By 26, we were married. A winery wedding. Blush tones. Vows that made people cry. But when I look back on the photos, I see a woman trying to believe her own smile. I did love him. I still do in a quiet, respectful, well-worn way. He's good to me. Reliable, gentle, never raised his voice. Rubs my back when I have cramps. Texts when he's running late. Supports every promotion like it's his own. But I've never felt like he saw me. Not in that split-the-air kind of way. I kept waiting for that part to come. Lena met Marco at 28. It was fast. A trip to Barcelona. A whirlwind summer. A 6-month engagement. He moved for her. Gave up his studio in Spain. Started over in a country where he knew no one. For her. I didn't like him at first. Not because he wasn't likable. He was. That was the problem. He was too much. Too intense. Too curious. The kind of man who made eye contact and didn't look away. We all started spending time together. Naturally, couples dinners, game nights, vacations. Lena wanted it that way. Our friendship was still at the center of her universe. And by default, our marriages merged around that. Marco always asked questions no one else thought to ask. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Do you feel known in your life or just understood? He never said anything inappropriate, but I felt seen in ways Daniel never quite managed. It started with a walk. The four of us rented a cabin in upstate New York for New Year's. On the second morning, everyone was hungover except me and Marco. We took coffee and went out for air. He asked me what I was working on, how I felt about turning 30 if I still painted. I hadn't painted in 2 years, and somehow just being asked made me feel like I'd failed myself. Daniel never made me feel that way. He made me feel safe. And I told myself that was better. But when Marco looked at me and said, "You're so careful with your words. I wonder what you'd sound like if you stopped trying to be good all the time." I didn't know how to breathe. Nothing happened that weekend. Nothing physical. But when I got home, I found myself checking his Instagram stories too often, noticed when he liked my posts, felt that low, slow burn of attention that feels like standing too close to a fire. I hated myself for it, and I hated how much I didn't want to stop. One night I had a dream about him, not sexual, just close. Sitting across from each other, knees almost touching. His hand on the table waiting for mine, saying nothing. I woke up aching. Guilt rolled over me in waves. I kissed Daniel's shoulder, made him coffee, told him I loved him. Then, sat in the shower for 45 minutes trying to remember who I was before all this started. Marco started texting me. Nothing overt, just little things. Saw this painting, made me think of you. Read this quote, felt like something you'd say. Your wedding photo came up on Lena's fridge. You looked tired that day, were you? I told myself he was just thoughtful, that if I wasn't reading too much into it, then I wasn't doing anything wrong. I started saving screenshots, quotes he sent, poems, book recs, random moments, a folder hidden in my notes app titled Words. I didn't know what I was doing. only that it made me feel held, even if no one was touching me. Daniel was going through a busy season at work. Late nights, weekend calls, stress headaches. I tried to be supportive, tried to ask about his day, rub his neck, make dinner, but I was running on fumes, and every time he said, "I'm just tired. Can we talk later?" I felt something in me click shut. He didn't notice. Lena asked me if I was happy. It was one of those throwaway moments, middle of Target, looking at candles. "You and Daniel seem so quiet lately. Everything okay?" I said yes. She nodded, smiled, went back to sniffing lavender. The moment passed, but it clung to me all day. Marco and I were alone again. Lena had food poisoning. Daniel was out of town. We ended up on my porch, wine between us, playlist humming in the background. He asked if I was happy. I laughed quietly and said, "Funny, your wife asked me the same thing last week." He didn't laugh. He said, "You didn't answer either of us." He didn't touch me. He didn't need to. We just sat there, too long, too close, too careful, and said things we couldn't take back. I think about you more than I should. Sometimes I wake up and wonder if you're happy with my wife's brother. You're the only person who doesn't look away when I talk. I said nothing, because if I spoke, I would say too much. That night, I deleted the folder. The words, folder. I told myself it was a line, a reset, a boundary. Then I cried for reasons I couldn't name. The next week, Daniel brought home flowers. No reason, just because. He kissed me like he meant it, told me he missed me. Asked if I wanted to take a weekend trip, just us. I said yes, and hated myself for wishing I could tell Marco about it. Lena texted me a photo. It was us, age 15, wearing glitter eyeliner and Converse, arms slung around each other's shoulders. We've been through everything, huh? I stared at it for too long. Thought, not everything. Not this. Marco and I didn't text for a week. Then he sent one message. I miss when this felt innocent. I didn't reply, but my hands shook for 10 minutes. Afterward, because it didn't feel innocent anymore. And the scariest part? I wasn't sure I wanted it to. Chapter 21. The trip Daniel planned never happened. He got pulled into a last-minute conference, apologized, promised to reschedule. I said it was fine. And that same weekend, Marco asked if I wanted to see a new gallery, exhibit on something about memory and erosion and the art of losing. I said no, then said yes. It was raining when we left the gallery. We didn't rush, just walked, soaked, shoulders bumping. At the corner outside the train station, he stopped, looked at me like he was memorizing something. "If I kissed you right, now would you ever forgive me?" I didn't answer, but I didn't move away either. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't soft. It was frantic, quiet, like trying to pull breath from a burning room. And when it ended, I didn't cry. I didn't run. Just whispered, "I'm married to your wife's brother." He closed his eyes. I know. We didn't talk for 2 weeks. I went through the motions, morning routines, emails, dinner with Daniel, calls with Lena. Pretended like nothing had changed, but everything had. I had. Lena came over with wine and stories. She told me Marco had been off lately, distant. Said she was worried he was burning out again like he did before Spain. I nodded, gave advice. She called me a saint, and I excused myself to the bathroom just to breathe. Daniel asked if I wanted to try couples therapy. I blinked. "I'm not saying something's wrong," he said. "I just feel like we're drifting. And I don't want that." I nodded, agreed, said it was a good idea. Then lay awake that night, wondering what version of me would have said no. I ran into Marco at a bookstore. Neither of us meant to be there. He handed me a poetry collection, dog-eared, used, scribbled in. Inside the cover, "This wreckage is holy." He didn't say anything else. Didn't have to. That night, I told Daniel, I wasn't sure I wanted kids. We'd always said someday, like it was a placeholder. He assumed it meant yes. I said maybe. He looked like I hit him. And all I could, Think was, you deserve someone who says yes with their whole chest. And I'm not her anymore. Marco and I met again, in a hotel. Neither of us said we were going to do it, but we did. No candles, no music, just hands and mouths and years of repression, burning off like fog. After, I cried. Not because I regretted it, because it was everything I thought it would be. The next morning, Lena called. I had a dream last night that something was wrong. With you, with us. I laughed too hard, too long, told her I was fine, then stared at the ceiling, whispering a lie to myself over and over until it almost sounded true. You didn't mean to hurt her. Lena found out on a Thursday. Daniel read my text with Marco. I don't know why I didn't delete them. Maybe part of me wanted to be caught. He called her. He didn't yell. He just said, "You need to talk to your husband and your best friend." She was at my apartment 10 minutes later, still in scrubs from work. I tried to explain. I really did. But there is no way to explain this. She stood in my living room while I begged her to sit down, and all she said was, "How long?" I told her the truth. She slapped me hard, and then she cried. Daniel didn't scream. He packed a bag, told me to stay at my sister's, said he'd be talking to a lawyer. He didn't ask me why. I think that made it worse, because I wanted him to hate me. Instead, he just looked tired, like someone who'd finally seen the shape of a lie he'd been living inside for too long. Marco didn't answer her calls. For 2 days, Lena called him nonstop. She didn't know where he was. I didn't either. When he finally texted her, it was 2 lines. "I'm sorry, I can't come back from this. Please don't try to find me." She collapsed on my porch the night she showed me. Didn't speak. Just sat there shaking. People started finding out. Whispers, avoided eye contact, invitations that stopped arriving. No one said anything directly. They didn't have to. It was written all over their faces. I was the girl who destroyed her best friend's marriage, and her own. I saw Lena at the grocery store. She looked through me, didn't flinch, didn't glare, just walked past like I was a stranger. That hurt more than the slap, because it meant I was already gone to her. I emailed Marco once. No reply, just silence. I think he meant it when he said he couldn't come back. Not to her, not to me, not to the man he was before we tore it all apart. The divorce moved fast. Daniel was efficient, professional, kind somehow. Too kind. He let me keep the apartment. Said, "I want to remember I tried. That's enough." And walked out of my life without once raising his voice. I haven't painted, I haven't written, haven't slept through the night since. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we had just said it out loud before it went too far. But then I remember that saying it wouldn't have made it less of a betrayal, only more intentional. I still dream about them, not together, separately. Marco, standing in the rain, asking if I would forgive him. Lena, 15 again, glitter on her cheeks, calling me her forever person. And me, watching all of it burn, holding the match,